You're listening to On the Rise with DJ Hotshot on CHRY 105.5 FM.
Yes, you are now listening to CHRY 105.5, and this is On the Rise with DJ Hotshot. And we're about to get a chance to talk with my special guest here today, Samo, who's a hip-hop journalist in Toronto. If anybody who knows Samo knows, she's at every single event in Toronto. You can't go to an event and miss her. So first off, how are you? How are you doing?
I'm blessed. I'm blessed in general, and I'm blessed to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, not about. I actually appreciate you coming in. You are the first guest of the season, so definitely appreciate you coming in. And one of the first questions I would like to ask you is, what got you in, or what is it that made you want to be a journalist?
It's crazy because I was just like a wild child growing up. Like, I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I didn't really have any direction until one of my teachers, he read some of my writing. And he's just like, you should be a journalist. So I just kind of came to Toronto randomly, decided to, go into journalism knowing nothing about it, but it ended up like I am a journalist. I wake up every day and I know that's what I'm destined to do every day.
Okay, that's definitely dope, especially that you know that's what you want to do.
Yeah. Basically
for years to come, maybe the rest of your life. And what is it like being a journalist?
I love every second of it, especially working with Urbanology magazine. Like, I get to do both things that I love. I love to write and I love hip-hop. So to be able to combine it, it's just a dream, basically. Like, I get to go to the coolest events, not even just concerts and stuff like that, and being able to interview, people that I bump regularly. But I get to go and do like community work, and my first ever event I ever covered for Urbanology was the launch of G98.7, which is like a crazy radio station. I feel like I'm part of history every event that I go to, and it's a great feeling. It really is.
No, that's definitely dope. Was it everything you expected it to be?
More than that, honestly. Like, I don't even write for people to read my work. I just do it because I enjoy the vibe of every event, meeting new people, just living the dream, basically. Like, I just go and have fun, and that's my job.
Okay. And you just mentioned that you say, you get to meet new people, go out there, have fun. You meet a lot of artists as well, especially from the US and Canada. Like, let's say, Casey Veggies, Kendrick Lamar. You get to, in a nutshell, you get to meet a lot of artists. What is it like meeting the artists that you, as you said, bump on the regular?
It's so crazy because I used to, when I was younger, like, everyone wonders, what's it gonna be like if I ever meet a celebrity? Will I cry? Will I run away? Will I be, be in shock? But honestly, it's just like, the more people that you meet, the more you realize that they're just like you and me. Honestly, I just sit down and I talk about music. That's what I love to do, is talk music anyways. So you might as well and sit down with the people that make it. It's the same thing. It's just like the conversation we're having right now.
Yes, definitely dope. You get to meet a whole lot of people. I'm actually jealous that you got to meet Kendrick Lamar, I'm not even gonna lie. And that you actually got to take peeks of the video swimming pools before it got to come out. That's definitely dope. And you mentioned that your teacher got you into journalism. When he kind of directed you or put you in that direction, what were you interested in doing, like specifically hip-hop journalism or just overall?
No, it's so funny. Like, the way it all happened, I kind of just moved to Toronto to move as far away from my family as possible, basically. I didn't even really grow up bumping strictly hip-hop. I grew up listening to all different types of music. Like, I grew up on a farm in Ottawa, you know what I mean?
Okay.
But I moved to Toronto, and I ended up homeless for 2 years, living on the street and stuff like that. And I always loved hip-hop, but once I became homeless, it became my life. Like, hip-hop became my best friend. I didn't have anyone else. No one else understood what I was going through. My friends pitied me. I didn't have family members that knew what I was going through. Even the people that I was on the street with didn't know what I was going through because I was still in university while I was homeless. So all I had was hip-hop. Like, I used to bump Styles P, Alone in the Streets. Like, that's still my theme song, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Eminem's Recovery. I don't think I would be where I am today if I didn't have albums like that and music like that to let me know that I'm not alone.
Okay. And you mentioned that you came to Toronto and you ended up homeless. Was that like part of the... I know it wasn't part of the plan, but what was the plan that you had when coming to Toronto?
I had no plan. Honestly, I was just... Like, people that know me now know I'm so organized and I have a vision and I grind, but literally a few years ago, I was the opposite of that. I didn't know if I would wake up where I would wake up. Like, I was just I was on a path of destruction. And then whenever I ended up homeless because of like family breakdown and breakups and stuff like that, and I had nowhere to turn to, literally I just now like that literally showed me a direction. Like people that know me, they're like, how do you do what you do? You grind so hard. I see you at every event. But it's literally like if you've been at rock bottom, you have nowhere to go but up. Like I don't see this as work because I love what I do. So it just really gives me the motivation to keep going.
Okay, and you mentioned being at rock bottom.
Yeah.
Homeless is, you know, for a lot of people it's rock bottom, especially when you kind of have a vision and a plan of what you're going with. What were some of the, I guess, the darkest moments of being homeless?
Definitely the first couple weeks, because I hadn't even like grown up in the city, you know what I mean? And then just coming here and literally being thrown on the streets and being like, okay, fend for yourself. And the problem was not only that, but I was still going to university. Like I was a homeless university student. It's so ironic, like it doesn't even make sense. But the fact that no one understood me. Everyone looked at me and they were like, you're a homeless person. You're like a human cockroach. Everyone looked at me with the most disrespect, and no one thought I was going to amount to anything in my life. And so literally that's why I coined the phrase like one woman army. That's why I call myself that, is because I was alone for 2 years grinding. I didn't ask anyone for nothing, and I'm here now. So, you know, the fact that I used to go to sleep crying and being like, you know, so hopeless, to now living the dream, literally like being able to talk to the people that, you know, helped me get through that situation with their music. It's the biggest blessing in the world. And I thank Urbanology for the opportunity and everything they've done for me. Like Priya and Adrian, my bosses, I just love them so much. Honestly, to come up with that magazine, like they don't realize how much they saved my life, for real.
And it also sounds like hip-hop, in a way, saved your life. And I remember when I first actually spoke with you, that's one of the things you said to me. And, like, a lot of people say it is cliche. Like,
but there's nothing cliche about your life, right? So, you know, I know a lot of people that have been in different situations, and they've all had something to help them out.
Yeah.
And music and hip-hop is mine. The love of my life, for real. So to be able to give back to the community, like it's not just about interviewing these big people. Like my favorite events are things like Manifesto, which is starting this weekend. I remember going to Manifesto 2 years ago when I was homeless and being at Dundas Square, and just the vibe of everyone, it was so much love. I literally felt like I had family. Like it was beautiful, the vibe, and I was like, I want to be part of this. And now tonight I'm covering after this I'm covering like the launch of Manifesto.
Yeah.
So to be able to give back to the community that saved my life, honestly, that's what it's all about for me. I just want to give back at this point.
Yes, and with hip-hop now, you mentioned earlier that you grew up on a farm.
Yeah.
You know, listen to all different kinds of music. How is it that you got drawn to hip-hop specifically?
Well, you listen to other genres, and what are they talking about? Country music. They're talking about like drinking, and rock music, they're like mosh pits and stuff like that. No one really like hip-hop is really like, they talk about being in the gutter and have people judge them for who they are, and society looking down on people and stuff like that. Like talking about the struggle and the hustle to survive. Literally that became my life. So I literally, whenever you hear Styles P talking about alone in the streets, that's what I was, you know? So no other genre could talk about that because they haven't been there.
Okay. Makes a lot of sense now. now you put, because I'm picturing, you know, a girl on a farm, and what I was thinking was you kind of listened to hip hop back then. But the way you paint it now is like when you came to Toronto, just more connected. Yeah,
like I always listen to hip hop. I love music. I was musical my whole life. I used to actually sing before. I was in like did musical theater and all of that stuff. I used to like sing in church when I was little, you know, like 4 years old with the mic, just my little Sunday dress. But like music was always everything to me. But this genre specifically, I feel like I have to give back to it because everything that it's done for me. So I love all different types of music, but hip-hop is just my love. So if that makes sense.
Yeah, it definitely does. And thinking about hip-hop on a whole, or let's say the Toronto culture in hip-hop, you mentioned that Manifesto, how everyone was coming together, you know, and you enjoyed the presence of everyone being there and the energy that they all had. Where do you see, I guess, Toronto hip hop going now? From the past 2 years, from when you first moved here to where you are now?
Honestly, we're on fire right now, and it's crazy. Like, the talent that the city has is just unbelievable. Like, for real. The only problem is, like, Toronto has the opportunity to be the music capital of the world. Like, no joke. The amount of money the government puts in, the amount of amazing venues, the amount of talent, like MCs, producers, every way. Like, we're just buzzing. But it's just, they don't call us the screwface capital for nothing, right? It's like there's so much talent in the city that everyone's in competition with each other. No one wants to see anyone else succeed, because we all know an MC, we all know a producer, you know what I mean? And we want to see our people go on, and so we're not going to support like the next group. So I think all we need is unity, and there is a lot of that. Like you see like Rich Kid and Jelly 2 Fly, and you know, Baker's Club, like Raz and Six. You go to events and you see these people there all the time. You know what I mean? So the community is there, and the community does support each other, but they need to branch out a little bit more.
And by branching out, you mean just overall everyone working together, or?
I think, yeah. Not in terms of like features and stuff, but just supporting each other. Like supporting each other. Come to each other's shows. You know what I mean? Like, stop standing against the wall and just like get out there and vibe to the music. Stop hating. It's ridiculous. Cheeses me.
I could tell.
It does. Because you go to a show and like all the opening people, you know them all. You know what I mean? But no one's paying attention. They're all like drinking and stuff like that, and then they're waiting for the opening act to come out, and then or the headliner, and then as soon as the headliner comes out, everyone's, you know, just like vibing out, cooking, going crazy. Like, support your people.
Yes, and that's actually one thing that with this radio show that I'm trying to push as well, you know, just support the artists. For what I've seen, I guess, growing up in New York and Atlanta, Toronto does have a lot of artists who do work together, but I've also seen exactly what you said. People in the crowd more so don't really pay attention to their own artists, or they don't pay attention to the opening acts. It's just until they hear the headlining act. Because
people need other people to tell them what to enjoy, and it's really sad.
Yeah.
Like, use your own ears and your own mind and figure out what music you like. And if you like the opening act, then vibe to the opening act. Stop looking around and waiting for 5 other people to bob their head before you do.
And thinking about hip-hop on a whole, do you kind of like the direction for, let's say, for the past 5 years, how it's changed? What is your opinion of hip-hop and how it's going? Right
now, I feel like everyone's got their groups, and all these groups are riding off the next groups. You know, like Good and MCMB and, you know, MMG, and they're all, and Coke Boys, and they're all collaborating together. They're all just doing tracks together. It just doesn't make sense. But then you have people like Kendrick and stuff like that are coming through, and Absol, and people that are really bringing a new breath of fresh air to the game. It's dope. But I don't really listen to mainstream anyways. Like, I really don't. I don't listen to stuff like that.
Yes, so On the Rise should kind of, you know, please your ear when you do hear it on the radio.
And I do listen to, the thing is, I do listen to a lot of local artists. I do bump a lot of Toronto artists. So, like, people hand me mixtapes and stuff at events I go to, or like they send me links online. I listen. Like, you never know.
Yeah, that is true. You know, just give that person a shot to listen to what they do have to say, or in their music, precisely.
I have stacks of mixtapes in my room from people that have just randomly given them to me at events, and I've listened to them all.
Has there been an artist in specific that impressed you? Like, you listened to it, you never heard of them before, but you listened to it and it just stood out, their work?
Yeah, there's this R&B guy called 2Z. He's really dope. Like, this man can sing. But then, like, I've heard of, like, most local artists I've heard of, you know, and know because I go to enough events. Like, even if I'm not covering them, I always come out to support because I just love what I do.
What is it like now, like, just being able to do everything you want to do, or...
It's crazy because sometimes I still feel like that same girl. Like, it hasn't even been 2 years since I've been off the street. So I've just kept so busy, and then sometimes it really hits me. Like, I feel like concerts, they are a very spiritual experience for me. I guess it's not just a concert. Like, this is like getting to see my religion and getting to see my prophets, you know, do what they do. And so sometimes it gets really emotional for me. Like, I just saw Lauryn Hill perform not too long ago, and like came home with a signed media pass around my neck, and I literally cried. I was like, honestly, I don't realize how far I have come because I just keep going, and I don't really pat myself on the back because I feel like I'm never gonna stop. I have to keep going. Like, I can't do one event and then be like, oh yes, boost myself and then take a break. No, I never stop. So I never really stopped to really think about how far I've come, and sometimes I still feel like that same girl 2 years ago that was homeless. Like, sometimes I go to events downtown and I walk past, like, on Yonge Street with the Evergreen and Covenant House, like shelters like that, and I walk past and I see people that I used to live with. And it's the most amazing experience because I realize how far I've come, but at the end of the day, I'm always going to give back to where I came from. I'm never going to forget where I came from, and my past will always humble me.
So now, mentioning how you said concerts are very spiritual for you, or like you just feel the vibe and the energy of it. What is your favorite concert that you've been to?
The first concert that I went to that I really like was so emotional was Watch the Throne, obviously, because you know, it's Jay and Hope, like, you know what I mean, or Jay and Yeezy, and to see like Hard Knock Life in person, where I used to wake up every morning in the shelter and bump that, and to be able to see it live, that was really emotional. Lauryn Hill, definitely, because, you know, that's someone I grew up listening to. Like, she's it. My favorite album is Miseducation, you know what I mean? And to be able to be in the media pit with her singing like Lost Ones and To Zion, like To Me, was so crazy, because literally, like, who would ever think that they'd be able to see Lauryn Hill? She took a hiatus for so long, and she's such a living legend. It was just unbelievable.
Okay, and actually, you're very lucky to actually see Lauryn Hill.
I'm blessed.
Actually come out on stage. Was she on time at least?
She was on. It's so crazy because she was on time. She didn't even have an ego, and to be able to be that close, like, I was literally the closest person to her because I was right there, like, touching the stage in the media pit, and watching her conduct her band. You could tell that, you know, a lot of people perform, and they go on tour and they perform the same track so many times that it just becomes second nature to them. Hers was so literally organic. Like, she literally closed her eyes, and her band had to constantly watch her. She had all these like hand movements and stuff like that, and they had, because she would just like tell the drums to stop here, tell the bass to stop here, just because she felt the music just as much as the audience. Like, everyone knew that's where she was supposed to be. It was just, I can't even describe the vibe. It was so amazing. For real, it was amazing.
And you mentioned her album is your favorite album.
Yeah.
What would you say your top 5 favorite are?
I don't know. Like 36 Chambers, obviously. You know, Illmatic, Reasonable Doubt. Like the classic albums. Because I feel nowadays there aren't really any classic albums. Like Life is Good is the closest that we have to a classic album lately, because it's all about mixtapes.
That's true.
Artists are more focused on selling records whenever they come up with an album. That's not really who they are as an artist. Like, if you want creative music and, you know, to get to the soul of an artist, you have to cop their mixtape, because they're not going to be themselves on an album, because that they want to hit the mainstream. They want to hit, like, you know, the target audience that goes out and buys the most records. So I'm a mixtape girl, not gonna lie. I bump, like, you know, all the Dipset volumes. My favorite ever, you know, Fear of God, Trap or Die. Like,
some surprises out here. I would not expect you to say those ones, you know?
Well, who would expect me to be a hip-hop journalist, too, at the end of the day? So I'm used to people second-guessing me and looking at me and being like, what? Like, especially as a female, too. A lot of it's hard for females in this industry to have respect, and for people to take them seriously in this business, because there's a lot of females that are out there with ulterior motives. You know what I mean? And so I feel like I have to grind twice as hard. But when I open my mouth and talk about music, people see I know what I'm talking about first and foremost, but it's my passion. Like, this is everything to me. So
you mentioned, you know, coming up as a female journalist, you spoke about, like, let's say, ulterior motives. For those out there who are unsure what that means, is it possible you can go to a slight description?
Groupies. There's the fair share of groupies that are out there. A lot of females that just want to get in the hotel to be able not to interview the artist. You know what I mean? I go to hotels to interview the artist, and then I leave. That's not the case with all females. You know, a lot of people, like PR people and journalists, we just have a rough time. Especially, you know, females, because people don't take us seriously, because there's a lot of people that have come before us that definitely, you know, change people's perspectives on what we're trying to do. But that's not the case here.
So I wish we can, like, you know, just go on and on with this conversation. The last question that I would like to ask you is, where do you go from here?
You know what? I don't even know, because the sky's the limit. If I've made it this far in this short amount of time, honestly, I don't know where I'm going to be a year from now. And that excites me, because I'm just going to keep grinding, and I feel like doors are just opening for me. I believe that everything I've been through has been for a reason. So there's not something that's going to be able to hold me back at this point. I've been through everything, you know what I mean? Any trial that comes my way, I'm going to laugh at it and keep grinding. So, you know, they don't call me One Woman Army for nothing. So at the end of the day, I don't know where I'm going to be, but I'm just excited.
Okay, and do you have any advice for any other or any journalists that may be listening right now that also are trying to get their foot in the door?
Yeah, all you have to do is put yourself out there. Just go to events. Like, at first, I started paying to go to events to meet people. It's all about networking. Just go to a show, you know, a local show, and talk to people. Like, go by yourself, because if you go in, like, a group of people, you're hanging out with your friends.
Yeah.
Go by yourself and just, like, start taking notes and doing freelance, you know, writing notes, and see if you can write a little review of the concert, and you never know. Start your own blog. Just apply, send your resume and stuff like that to different companies, and you never know. Just put yourself out there. Number one, just go.
That's probably one of the best words of advice you can give, because many people do fear that first step to jump or basically just dive in. So that's very good that you told the listeners out there to just go. So you heard it there first, Toronto. Samo in the studio with us. I wish we had way more time to do this, conduct the full interview.
Well, you haven't heard the last from me.
Yes, and feel free to come back anytime, any Friday that you have free. Come up here, we can kick it, talk music, anytime, any week that you'd like to.
Sounds good.
Any shout outs?
Yeah, shout out to Kennedy in Finland, who's back in 21 days. You know, all my family listening. My family, I mean, you know, the people that, you know, support me every day. So I couldn't make it without you. So thank you so much for the love and support.
And shouts out to Urbanology Mag for also promoting and helping us out and supporting us on the rise, as well as you.
Follow Urbanology Mag on Twitter, and definitely check out www.urbanologymag.com. Our new fall issue will be out in a few weeks. Make sure to pick that up.
Yes, and also follow us on Twitter at Rise Toronto, at IamDJHotshot, and you can also check out our Tumblr, risetoronto.tumblr.com. We have a whole lot of hip hop and R&B, as well as if you know any friends that wanted to catch this radio interview and missed it, we are going to have the video also posted up there, so definitely look forward to that. That's basically it for On The Rise. We will be back here again next week, Friday, 4 to 5 p.m. This is DJ Hotshot signing out. Up next, we have News Now. And just keep it locked to CHRY 105.5 FM.